Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continue today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thanks for joining us on the Gold Standard radio show. Ken Russo, Jennifer Horn, happy to be back together.
Yes.
And at it again.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be with you and everybody that's listening.
Absolutely. There is lots that we are going to talk about. I mean, there's a lot going on in the news. White substances at the White House, Janet Yellen taking little trips. But before we do, Ken, let's set the stage as to what we do on this radio program. We talk about the news, about the trust that we have in our government officials, or maybe lack of trust. And we talk about a financial system that, let's say, isn't in the healthiest condition.
Yeah. How could I phrase this by being polite? We're a veteran-owned company.
Yeah.
Semper Fi.
Mm-hmm.
We're very disappointed with where our country is headed.
Mm-hmm.
We're very upset about our monetary system, which is a sham. We're very concerned about how this is all going to end and affect every single American out there when it comes to their pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
Our contention is that we need to do something about it while we still can.
That's right.
Our contention is that the government is going to print and spend until they can't anymore and the whole system implodes. And what could we do? Here's a question that everybody could ask themselves, whether you're a Planet Biden resident or a fan of the Bad Orange Man.
Love it.
A member of the alphabet people. We talked about that a little bit last week. What could you do today to protect yourself from being financially ruined when all of this shenanigans with our monetary system and fake money falls apart?
Yeah. And this isn't a political question. It's the only question you should be asking yourself right now, because this isn't just about Democrats and Republicans and politics. It's about our elected leaders from both sides of the aisle spending way too much, not being responsible with our money. And so it's up to us. It's up to us to figure out how we are going to take care of ourselves and our family and not have to just sit through an I'm sorry speech by whomever is sitting in the White House.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. This is for the benefit of all U.S. citizens. You need to make. I could see and I could hear that playing out in my head. And a lot of news this week, like you said. There's a lot of stuff going on. Bidenomics is thriving. And I guess the Iranian tankers were shooting at other tankers and the Navy had to do something about that. That's a situation in the future that is an issue as well. Just a lot of stuff that's happening. And it feels to me like a lot of the important stuff when it comes to our money. Like, what about all these empty office buildings?
Yeah, you were telling me about these. They're calling them zombie office buildings,
right?
Zombie
office buildings.
So these are empty buildings.
Well, I mean,
big cities.
Part empty, let's say. And they say that some of these office vacancies are maybe 30, 40% in some of the largest cities in the country.
Right.
So what's going to happen when this debt goes bad? And remember, debt's a loser. The debt's bad. The debt's rotten. What's going to happen to these assets when the debt fails? That's the question.
Yeah.
So we're talking about money and we're talking about what we can do to protect ourselves. And it's kind of a end result of what happened back in the early 70s.
Let's talk about it, because I said it's not Democrat or Republican.
Now, at this time, the United States was paying $35 an ounce for gold in exchange for dollars. And a lot of the other countries that didn't want dollars anymore, they said, all right, we want the gold. Well, eventually, the U.S. was running out of gold. There wasn't enough gold. The Bretton Woods system was going to crash. So they needed to take the dollar off the gold standard, as we listen to every week real quick from Richard Nixon.
Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
So there you have it.
That was in the best interest of the United States, wasn't it? Ish.
An experiment started.
Yeah.
Where everything is now fiat money, backed by nothing. So our currency, which says Federal Reserve note on it, right on it, is backed by nothing except debt.
Right.
And we know that this debt is never going to be paid off. Never. It's impossible. We have to print the money to pay the interest. How are they going to pay the debt off? It makes no sense.
When you hear people talk about a balanced budget, is that just a pie in the sky idea?
That's just political, stuff going on, and we want to win votes. But as soon as the politicians have to promise something, what's the first thing they have to do? Raise the debt ceiling, issue more IOUs, which they call bonds, which kind of reminds me of the word bondage.
That's true.
So the question is where does all this fake money bring us? Where is it going to lead us? And let's keep it simple. It's going to lead us to a situation where either our money's worth a lot less, which is very likely. That's why a Big Mac in the 70s cost 60 cents and now it costs $7. I mean, why? And, is it still 2 patties and,
We're in the summer season and we're talking about how much it costs now for all of the stuff in a summer barbecue. I mean, just look at what you spent for your 4th of July barbecue, right? I mean, everything is going up.
Everything is getting
Bidenomics.
inflated.
Yeah.
Now, there's some things that have gotten inflated, like houses and stocks and bonds, and that's great because if you happen to be in that situation, you have some money that you don't want to lose.
Sure.
You have some money that you don't want to see blow up or disappear, and we all know we're headed towards a system that no one knows what's going to happen. It's going to be a monitored system. Is it a digital system? Nobody knows what's going to happen. How much money are we going to print? What actually is our debt? Nobody knows. So what's our money going to be worth? So for the people out there, Jen, that don't want to say, hey, I want to push all my chips into the middle of the table. I want to speculate with all my money. I think that that's foolish, our opinion. For those people that feel that way, one thing you can do is you can put some of your assets into gold. And that may be liquid assets that you have at the bank.
Right.
You may have IRAs. You may have old 401ks. But you may say to yourself, I want to have something that I know that will always have value.
It's a hedge.
Exactly. It's protection. It's insurance for your money.
Right. Then this is what we tell people to do is if you're thinking about your future and you're asking yourselves the questions about what would happen if the system fails, don't be sitting around, as we said, listening to the apology speech by the latest American president. What you want to do is you want to take care of things, take matters into your own hands and call Midas Gold Group. Midas Gold Group, veteran owned. They are America First patriots. They have a really keen sense of what's going on. And not only that, they're really good people. Ken's one of them. And I don't want to put inflation into your ego, but yeah, you get to talk to people you're listening to on the radio, or you get to talk to people that know about financial institutions and what is appropriate for you. They can help you through your investment strategy, essentially, or protecting your money. That's the real strategy. 855-322-4653. That's the number to call. I want you to write it down. We're going to give it out a few more times this half hour. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. Or check them out online, MidasGoldGroup.com, MidasGoldGroup.com. These are not call centers that you're calling. These are real people.
That's a good point, Jen. I was just going to say that. It's not a call center. It's the traders themselves. It's some of the owners themselves, some of the veterans themselves. And to find that kind of relationship when it comes to gold and silver. And remember, Jen, it's physical gold and silver. Like,
in fact,
look
you
at
brought
this.
silver in today.
We're
always talking about gold, but silver needs love too.
Let's give it a little bit of love. Now, this is a tube of silver eagles, 1 ounce silver eagles. The coin of the United States Mint. And we could hold this up.
They're
to the
beautiful.
camera here. Yeah, real quick. See? Real stuff. So you can hear it.
I love it. And they're heavy. Got a little heft
Comes
to it.
in tubes of 20 or a monster boxes of 500. It comes, it's heavy. But if gold's going to work, silver more than likely is going to work too.
Right.
And the reason
There's real
why,
value.
the difference between currency and money is that money, real money, like gold and silver, holds its purchasing power.
Right.
It's a store of value. Currency, which is our paper money, which they print, it doesn't.
It's worth the paper.
You can't print gold and silver out of thin air, but you can, and they are, and they will continue to print tens of trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars out of thin air. The whole world is doing. What do you think is going to happen to our dollar?
Wouldn't it be fun if we could print gold? Let's come up with that invention.
Yeah, and maybe we're completely wrong.
But you're not going to lose anything. You've got your.
You'll at least have your precious
Exactly.
metals. You'll at least have something that's a legacy. You'll at least have something to diversify. And in my opinion, in this situation, that's a no-brainer.
All right, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653 for Midas Gold Group. I do want to ask you one item in the news that really caught my attention is this trip that Janet Yellen's making to China. Now, does everybody have to go meet with their lender? I mean,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah. What
go
exactly?
kiss the ring
Does
in
she
China.
speak Chinese?
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But what is she doing there? And that does show how important China is because they're holding a lot of our debt. And do we want them to be doing this? The answer is no, at least in my book.
Well, China years ago, they made a decision to lighten up on our debt and add to their gold. And that's the trend that we've seen over the last, 5 years plus. Who knows how much gold China has?
Yeah.
But we do know is that there will be other currencies that are going to compete with the dollar going forward. And we do know that gold is going to play a bigger part.
And they're inventing new currencies that are going to eliminate the dollar, right? China's one of these groups.
It won't eliminate it, but it's definitely headed in a direction where the dollar as the world reserve currency is losing that status. So the United States is losing that sort of, advantage,
right,
so to speak. So, I mean, it's inevitable that these other countries, and we're seeing them all the time, like the BRIC nations that we are talking about, they are doing a lot of deals outside of the dollar. They don't care who knows. The West The West does not understand gold.
And they have a meeting coming up, right? These nations are coming together in August.
Yes.
And that when you take the dollar out of the picture, taking America out of the picture, what does that do? It's the wrong message for a multitude of reasons.
It's going to cause people to lose trust in our money and our financial system. And in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about 7 stages of an empire, which
sounds like a movie.
Oh, yeah. Darth Vader.
All right, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take out a pen. You're going to write this number down, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com. Up ahead, the 7 stages of empire. We're going to have that for you as the Gold Standard continues with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
What are you doing to protect yourself, your family's future, your financial future? Welcome back to the Gold Standard radio show. What can we do?
Oh my gosh.
Jennifer Horn, Ken Russo, along with you. 855-322-4653. That's a number to call to check out Midas Gold Group. 855-322-GOLD, MidasGoldGroup.com. Now, Ken, you came in, you were all skippy-yippy today. You were like, Ken, we got to talk about 7 stages of empire. And I thought, oh, is this the latest Netflix show? And you said, no. Tell us about the 7 stages of empire.
Well, it's a topic that's been discussed kind of a lot over the last decade. Ray Dalio recently about how the United States is headed in the wrong direction as the world superpower, and China's probably the next one to kind of be on the upward trends. But Mike Maloney did a great series of videos about 10 years ago, and he talked about the 7 stages of empire, which in my opinion we're probably on the 6th or 7th stage right now. It starts out with sound money. And remember, the United States at one time did have sound money.
Yeah.
We had a gold standard that was established in 1879 and then obviously got chopped up a little bit in 1933 and then completely eliminated in 1971. So sound money out the door. Layers of public works. We all know that we print money out of thin air. They keep raising the deficit ceiling. One of the things that they support always and get votes for, let's do a lot of public works.
Yeah, they love that.
Case in point, Build Back Better.
Right.
Bunch of,
Build Back Broker is what it's called.
We can't curse on this. Yeah, right. So, massive military.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that they're supporting a massive military at this point. I don't know really who would join the military with some of these commercials and spokesmen. It's just
listening
insulting.
to that. They were talking about how they had a shortage of people actually.
Well, can you blame them?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, us as a veteran-owned company, it's disgusting and upsetting, but it is what it is, but it's disgusting and upsetting. Then you have war.
Yeah, of course, which is coming.
We all know what that brings. If you supply the countries that are having war, it's a lot of money. If you're at war, well, I think the results or the reasons for that are a little bit different. But currency debasement through deficit spending, which is stage 6.
That was where Biden stuck.
Actually, stage 5.
Biden hung out in the debasement, right?
Well, I think he might still
basement.
be in the basement. Yeah, maybe the one of 4 Joe Bidens right now. We're not quite sure who it is, but possibly. But so we have deficit spending. That's not going to change. We know that. We then have a loss in faith in our currency. Now,
so we're doing here today.
That's what's becoming more and more relevant because more and more people are starting to realize, what is this? How could we just print trillions and trillions out of thin air? Oh, I don't have to pay my student loan. Oh, I don't have to pay my rent for 2 years. Oh, what is money just showing up in the mail and checks? What is this? So people are starting to understand that this fiat money in our whole monetary system is a sham.
Well, and I think people are also questioning the legitimacy and the health of our banking system as well. There have been bank collapses already this year, 3 of them. You bring up the fact that there are 600 banks on a watch list. That's a lot.
Who knows the exact number? We'll just say there's a lot.
There's a lot of banks on the watch list, right? And then you also have people who have gone to banks and they try to get their money out. I know the bank in my city has actually been closed, but it's a Bank of America. It's been closed.
So if it's been closed and you have a safety deposit box at that bank or you want to try to do business there or you can't get around, you're frozen.
Right.
So that's a situation, and that's very realistic, Jen. That's a very good point. Now, the last stage in the 7 stages of an empire is a currency crisis. So we're talking about the dollar failing, the dollar losing tremendous value, other currencies of the world catching up. That's a currency crisis.
I never like to think, I'm so proud of our country. I'm so proud of what we've done in such a short amount of time. I am not always proud of our leadership and of their choices. I'm not rooting for a currency crisis, but some bad leadership has led us in this direction, and it's bad leadership across the globe too. This isn't just a problem that's unique to the United States. So it's not necessarily being a naysayer. It's not necessarily having a negative outlook. But if you hear all of this and you are questioning the motives of people and spending,
who's really benefiting from this system? Who's benefiting from all this fake money? Or are we getting the short end of the stick through inflation and through the loss of purchasing power and through privacy? Isn't
it time to take a look and go, what could I do? What gives me back my power as a person living on this planet and in this country? What can I do to make sure that I'm going to be okay just in case some of these things might happen? And that's why we tell you to talk to Midas Gold Group. MidasGoldGroup.com is a place to go to talk through your current situation. And that's 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. What's fantastic is you are going to talk to not someone who is an order taker, but someone who can actually listen to you, can talk to you, and figure out where you are in your investments, what you can afford to put into gold. This is about safety and protection. And that's what you get when you call Midas Gold Group, 855-322-4653.
Yeah, not somebody who's going to recommend a crazy product and all of a sudden your representative isn't there 2 or 3 weeks later and you have nobody to talk to. What gold does, Jen, in this type of situation when there is a currency crisis, is the price of gold will ultimately reflect all of the money that's been printed.
Right.
So if you look at all of the money that's been printed in the last 3 years because of the COVID excuse, and then if you look at all of the money that's been printed since 2008 with the kick the can financial crisis, a subprime mortgage collapse, the price of gold has not reflected yet all of that currency.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, it did it in 1980, and it did it again back in 2008, 2011. But because of manipulation, because of greed, because of speculation, everybody still just wants to put all their money into NASDAQ stocks. They're all looking to get rich. But the price of gold has not reflected yet all of the currency that has been printed into circulation. So if you're saying to yourself, is $1,900 and $1,900 gold too expensive? No, because if gold is going to work, it could go up 10 times over the next 10 years. Now, nobody knows if this is going to happen in 6 weeks or 6 years or 60 years. Nobody knows. But it will eventually happen. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because it's always happened.
It's
throughout
historic,
history.
Yeah. And also it doesn't, what you're looking at, and again, you're bringing me into this world of gold and precious metals, is that there's always a consistency. There are a lot of places where you can go to win big and you can lose big. But with gold, the secret here, guys, is that it's stable.
Win big, lose big. That's the definition of gambling and speculation.
Exactly.
And that's okay for some of your money, but for some of it, Jen, it has to be strong. It has to be trustworthy. It has to be reliable. You have to be able to hold it. It has to be there, and it has to potentially increase in value. And that's the definition of gold, and to a smaller degree, silver.
855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD. Something you just said, you said you can hold it. Now, this is something that's really important. You take out the government. You take out the banking system when you have gold. You can keep it at home. You can keep it in your safe. You have it in your possession. So if something horrific happens, you have it and it can act as a currency. Now, there is a digital currency that all of us have been hearing about, Ken. We already know the state of California, we talk about, these electric wallets that you have in your cell phone where everything is now being held digitally.
Monitored.
Everything can be monitored. The government's involved with everything. Take us through what this could look like, this digital currency. And gold is not like that. Gold is something real you can hold on to, and it doesn't have the oversight of the government. So they're not keeping an eye on everything that you're doing. It's private.
Yeah, well, you'll have to get rid of your oven
before,
or your gas-powered pool heater.
Or as a New Yorker, your pizza oven.
Oh, my gosh, that's crossing the line.
Right.
But what I would say is it's important because you can hold it. It's important because it's tangible. But if we have fiat currency, which is paper, it's toilet paper.
Yeah.
If it's going to be digital, it's going to be digial fiat or digital toilet paper.
You won't even have the paper.
You still need something to have living expenses, or you still need to have some sort of money that's, for emergencies.
Sure.
But if you have something that's not immediately needed for living expenses, or if you're not depending on it for next week, is it better off in paper or digital fiat, or is it better off in gold? And throughout history, it's better off in gold. And I would just urge people to keep it that simple.
Yeah.
Keep it that simple. Say to yourself, am I diversified enough? If I'm totally locked out of my money for whatever reason, and we all know that some of it is intentional, am I going to be okay?
That's right.
Do I have enough money out of this system where I'm still going to be okay? And that's why you may have an IRA, you might have an old 401k, or you may want to just get some money out of this rotten, stinky, wretched, awful, manipulated banking system where our money is not there. You may as well get some out while you still can.
So you like the banking system?
I don't trust it. Do you?
No, not when it's
and
sticky,
that's based
dirty, and
on
rotten.
their own fault.
That's right.
They've earned that reputation. It wasn't my fault.
They earned it. That's exactly right. All right. Here's what you need to do right now. 855-322-4653. Call that number. Talk to Midas Gold Group. 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-GOLD. 855-4653. MidasGoldGroup.com is the website. MidasGoldGroup.com. Ken, always so much fun.
Always a pleasure. The Fed, the
Goes too
government, and the
fast.
banking system, they got a nice party going.
They do,
Don't
right?
they? We can
And
talk
we're
a
the
little bit
victims.
about that next week.
Perfect.
A nice party, but I didn't get my invite.
Thanks for listening. It's the Gold Standard Radio Show.